Hi everyone. So exceptions are the interesting topic in the NestJS because we are not using throw new error. NestJS provides its built-in exceptions. It's interesting, right? So let's say you are writing controller and you find some error. Bad request exceptions, forbidden exceptions, not found exceptions. So how can you throw those exceptions appropriately that NestJS is able to catch it? So how can we do that? So NestJS provides these HTTP exceptions. You can also throw a custom exception, that is fine. So these exceptions you can find HTTP exception, right? Here bad request exception. Let's say I wrote a controller and I wanted to throw bad request exception. So you can just simply do bad request exception. It will take care of the HTTP status code and everything. Similarly, you can actually type internal server exception. You can say not found exception. So these all are inbuilt exceptions of NestJS, not found exception, bad request exception, internal server exception, forbidden. So they will take care of the sending the status code appropriately because forbidden means 403, right? Status code is 403. If you're not throwing an exception, obviously it will be treated as a status okay. Okay, so not found exception, forbidden exception, internal server error exception. You can just make it customized because, or if you don't know what exception you're throwing, then you can just throw HTTP exception and you pass a status code like this. So HTTP exception is actually a parent class, and these node found exception, bad request exceptions, all these are subclasses. You can choose. It will be also treated in the same way. Here this is an object and this is the status code you are passing. If you are passing some, if you want to throw some custom exception, that also is possible. What you need to do, you just need to write a class and extend HTTP exception because NestJS treat HTTP exception differently. So business exception, I defined a new exception class. It is extending HTTP exception, and inside a constructor, it's like same as error class in the generic error. So status code message error attribute, and then what exception you wanted to throw, bad request exception. Similarly, obviously the application will have their own custom exceptions, resource not found, uh, business exceptions, record ID is not available for processing, or many different kind of exceptions. So how NestJS is dealing with them is simple. You write a controller. Inside a controller, you can just throw those exceptions to the top layer, means controller. If controller receives those error, that means we need to take care of the status code and we need to respond properly. Additionally, you can write HTTP exception filters. So whenever these HTTP exceptions are thrown from controller, they can be dealt with properly, exposing more information about the exception stack. So this is exception filter, you can say. It is catching all these exceptions, bad request, I mean, all the predefined exceptions or any exception which is extending the HTTP exception class, right? So you handle throws exception, filtered, catch it up, and then it will just format it. So because all the HTTP exceptions will come here. So what it is doing, it is catching all the HTTP exceptions. I mean, it is only about adding more information about the status code, error message, and stack trace based on. So this whole information we are sending so that the logging can be done properly. We should be able to trace the logs and catch the error when this thing has happened. What is the status code? What was the method? What was the HTTP path? So this is all about how we deal with HTTP exceptions. You just don't need to write a throw new error. Write a proper HTTP exceptions in the NestJS because that is required to document things properly and get a proper status code also.